Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for spending your valuable time right here with the Adapt 2030 channel. Seaweed to avert the food crisis better than insects. Speaking of, on our farm, look at the amount of ladybugs. Bee waterer, help hydrate our pollinator friends. U.S. soybean crop caught off guard, 5% underplant. Kansas, Oklahoma, 115 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh wait, that's 1936. Tioga Pass, no estimated opening date. Opening latest since 1938. Look at the trees. Fingerprints in human stumps. Gold price and U.S. debt. Many forms of gold to get you through the collapse. And as the Chinese say it best, Wei Ji, there's opportunity in the danger. Well, we see the sharks swirling. Maybe it's time to head to the lifeboat and bring your supplies along for the journey. And one of those supplies is going to be restocking your supplies. So when we think about gardening, we're always thinking raised beds, this sort of thing. But this Sepp Holzer method, huge, almost pyramidal shape beds to avoid compaction from increased pressure over time. These steep beds, it gives you a lot of surface area and it's not so much stooping over. I haven't tried this before, but I would like to. It looks pretty interesting. Straw and the different layering that you could put inside there. Some might even walk past this just so blinded by looking for a raised bed garden that they wouldn't even see the forest through the trees, no pun intended. Basil's coming in now. I'm dehydrating this to be able to drop into vinegars. So please remember, basil flowers, instead of just picking them and throwing them away, save those. You can use it in many a different format for flavoring liquids after it's dehydrated. Speaking of liquids, bees, they're coming into the dearth, which means there's not going to be a lot of wildflowers, A, so if you can set some sugar cubes out for them near their hives. But B, they're going to have to hydrate more coming into the summer right now. So this is a good method here. Take a bowl, fill it with marbles, and add water. Because then there's a place for them to stop and put their proboscis down in there, grab the water, and then take off out. Now it might evaporate through the day, so you maybe have to fill it once a day, but you know, taking care of our pollinators is so important right now as a lot of these hives are in colony collapse. So as the bees go, so does humanity and our ability to pollinate crops. Speaking of which, dead center in the map, Kansas, Oklahoma, Nebraska. Let's shoot up through the Midwest grow belt all the way over into Iowa. I see these temperatures here, 115 degrees Fahrenheit, 115, 113, and I look at it, wow, crops are going to struggle in that. My bad. That was July 17th, 1936, temperatures that we're looking at. And notice how the purples get up into the 110 plus, and we'll see some of the similar coloration right here on the maps. And I'll direct you to some of the greens right in the center though. Although we don't have any numbers, it's pushing about 125 in Death Valley there. But is it as widespread the heat as it was in the 1930s? That should be the question. So if we're looking at types of equivalent heat from the Dust Bowl era, we should also start to see repeating things from the 1930s that would measure up with that. Tioga Pass plowing still in progress. This is July 11th. No estimated opening date, the latest opening since 1938. Because, you know, it's the hottest year and these glaciers are shrinking and all this snow that's still left in July makes you wonder. A surging national debt is bullish for gold. The debt ceiling drama ended with nominal budget cuts and a shiny new credit card with no limit for the federal government. The first business day after the U.S. Treasury increased our national debt by $350 billion. It's no wonder Google searches for how to buy gold hit record levels in 2023. Call the Patriot Gold Group today before it's too late. Patriot Gold Group has the No Fee for Life IRA, where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver on qualifying rollovers. Also, Patriot Gold Group, Consumer Affairs top-rated IRA gold dealer 6 years in a row. Give them a call, 888-546-7020. And now on with the video. And from Ryan Maue, we want everybody to take caution, be safe out there, but I'm really wondering how the people, in that Arrowhead area of Minnesota with 50s for the highs, how they're going to cope with all of this. Because there are some unique solutions for the heat that we're seeing. Perhaps this frozen water bottle pulling the air through, hey, it's going to offer you some cooling. It's going to take a myriad of solutions, and if your power gets cut to your air conditioner, then what? You could run a fan for a very long time off a generator. Now, the tale of two worlds as we sit here. 2-meter temperature anomaly. When we look at 2-meter temperature anomaly, this is in degrees Celsius, so Fahrenheit will have a wider range on that. Split Europe right in half. That white is no departure from normal. Southern Europe, hot. Northern Europe, don't talk about it. Too much blue and green, especially over the UK. I will do an entire video just about the UK and the stories of the year of rainfall and cool. In addition to the Arrowhead area of Minnesota, if we look over into Ontario, over the Great Lakes region, we see some anomalies sitting there nobody's talking about. It's always just California. Hey, what about our brethren to the east in the Great Lakes? You're going to leave them out? That's not very fair. That's not so inclusive. Desolation Wilderness, California, still lots of snow in the high country. And all that heat, I love the way that it puts a dome over something and compacts so the snow does not melt. It's really fascinating how these heat domes work, especially in 2023. And a random story here, the snowpack on Mount Everest over 9 times deeper than originally thought. I wanted to bring you some snow pictures. It's the hot time of the year in the middle of the summer when it's hot. So to bring soothing, cool pictures of snow and glacier, let your mind do the work for you. And it is a tale of two worlds, I guess, if you would look at it in the media. So we have huge amounts of snowpack that just persistent, will not melt, even though we're into this hottest recorded temperatures ever. So either it's not, or the snow is of a different composition where it's not melting. You're only left with one of two choices. Heat at a certain degree over 32 Fahrenheit or 0 Celsius causes ice to melt. And we sit here with massive snowpack and massive passes still blocked, people skiing in July, and just in a huge amount of snows left. Is it chemical composition change, or is it the heat is not ferocious enough to melt? What do you think? Because I think going to Tony Heller's feed, during the Little Ice Age, that's the Maunder minimum, 1650 to approximately 1780, if you want to run that 100 years of what they consider the Little Ice Age. 100 million bison roamed the Great Plains. But at that time, we were in a Little Ice Age. I want my steak, milk, and ice cream. Thank you, dairy industry. And another head scratcher, here you go. Identical architecture in the antique style, Italian Venice with Peruvian Lima. Common symbology, architectural solutions across oceans before they were ever discovered, or that interconnection. How do you clarify this? I don't know. Some questions are best unanswered, I guess. Like this one, a tree stump or a human fingerprint. Similarities are, well, similar. That's why I'm bringing it to your attention. You just have to ask why. Like the sudden shift into seaweed to avert the food crisis versus insects. Now, was there such a pushback that people said, no, we're not going to eat it? So they're looking for ulva, a staple crop. Any of you that have been Japan, somewhere that would ingest an enormous amount of seaweed, they feel it will be a necessary step to keep Europe from food shortages. Mild, slightly salty flavor, nutty aftertaste. I think I prefer that to crickets myself, but that's just me. I'm a weirdo. But I took some pictures of the ladybugs that are currently getting ready to come on out of their chosen hiding spots here. Huge amount of this is between some wood that we'd stacked in a pile. They found a nice home there. I'm waiting for them to get on out and start eating the aphids. And speaking of agricultural shocks and surprises, USDA lowering U.S. soybean planted area to 83.5 million acres. That's 5% under last year's expectations that were ranging from somewhere around 87 to 88.5 million. Shocker, prices up. Oh, grain corridor shut, wheat prices up. Who would have thought? So now the recollection for our food across the planet is coming into view. So the grain corridor shut, which immediate spike in wheat pricing. Now it came off those highs. People trading wanted to take their profits and whatnot. But then we saw U.S. soybeans do the same. China's out on a voracious buying spree at the moment. Unknown what's going to happen in the southern hemisphere with the ozone depletion event there. And as we come through the drought, the corn was also downgraded yet again in the United States. So Europe's following some similar patterns there with drought and crop destruction. So we'll see where this kind of brings us at the end of the year, especially with Ukraine not planting nearly as much as they normally would, and now the export embargoes and cessation of grains leaving, which Ukraine counted on for 4x revenue, and those that eat it counted on for either animal food or the actual grains themselves to process into human consumption foods, i.e. the wheat. So we'll see where this takes us, but as a distant early look at it, even worse than last year, which almost everybody can see now. Your food prices have risen in the supermarket tremendously. If you don't see it, you haven't been shopping. And ways to protect wealth here. Gold. Gold price and U.S. debt 1970 to 2023. The gold line, spot price. Total public debt, black swan, black element in the chart. When there was a budget surplus around the year 2000, gold obviously decreasing in price. We saw the run up, and now we see a run up again, and wait until we go to 35 trillion in the U.S. debt. I'm wondering how gold price will follow or track that. And if there were more hostilities and more money printing was required to purchase said items to equip our boys going over, that's going to run like a scalded dog. And then staying on the theme of gold, many forms of gold to get you through the collapse. This is from Mike Adams. Physical gold, obviously. Green gold, anything you can grow yourself, hence the beginning of the video. Black gold, not talking about oil, it's more compost for growing food and getting these mulch piles together. Carbon gold, if you're able to run into a greenhouse, take that CO2 and boost your yields, pull it up to 1,200 parts per million. Blue gold, rainwater, off-grid water supply, springs, wells. White gold, nitrogen fertilizer to grow your food. And then light gold, the sunlight itself, to be able to power photosynthesis and your solar panels, which you'll need. I need to bump up my game on my solar. But I guess we can always find holes where we need to get more resilient as we get ready for these changes. My Patriot Supply and Adapt 2030 3-month emergency food supply. That's food with adapt2030.com. That link's in the description box below. Every purchase you make helps keep the Adapt 2030 channel on air. I do appreciate you watching. Hope you got something out of the video. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.